What's up, Blake?
Food web and energy pyramid. So this one again, you'll have to cut in half and then paste it in. And make sure you're at today's topic and essential question. Again, today's topic is food web / chain and energy pyramid.
And that's all we'll kind of look into.
Hopefully you know a little bit about this stuff. At least the food web or chain. But if not today, you will know what a food chain is, how a food chain is related to a food web, and what an energy pyramid is.
Yay!
Alright, so first things first, we're going to go over food chain. Food chain is a linear way of thinking of what eats what, or what gets its energy from what.
Yeah, wait, so
a food chain, again, is a linear way. It's a chain. Blank eats blank, and that gets eaten by blank, and that gets eaten by blank. On this page, you can see two food chains. You can see one that happens on land and one that happens in the water. The land one, you've got a plant that gets eaten by, not what we're doing. Come on, man. Find your notes.
I thought we were doing prism.
So you've got the plant that gets eaten by the grasshopper that gets eaten by the field mouse that gets eaten by the rattlesnake that gets eaten by a hawk. Okay? And then I can't see from here, but I'll have to get closer. I want to say that's some zytoplankton. Nope, that's phytoplankton that gets eaten by the zytoplankton that gets eaten by the fish that gets eaten by a bigger fish, the bigger fish that gets eaten by, in this case, an orca whale. Or a killer whale. So every living thing needs energy in order to live. Okay? Every living thing needs energy in order to live. Okay? Everything on Earth needs energy, if it is alive, to live. Every time anything does something, an animal does something, a plant does something, it needs energy to do it. If you're walking, running, jumping, you need energy to do it. A food chain is, again, just shows you how each thing gets food or gets energy, how it gets the nutrients and food, and it's passed. Every chain will start with what?
The smallest organism.
We'll start with some type of plant life and end with some type of animal life. Now, there are some animals, of course, that eat plants, and there are some that eat other animals, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But all living things need energy. Everything on Earth gets its energy from plants. And plants get its energy through the process of photosynthesis. Yep, talked about that last week. Yeah. Now, just like I said, a food chain is a linear way of showing what eats what. A food web is basically just a bunch of food chains and the connections between them. Okay? So within a food web, you can have a chain. So the chain here would be these producers. So the grasshopper to the shrew to the fox. That's a food chain. You have multiple chains here, right? We've got the producers to the grasshopper to the mouse to the fox. So there's two food chains right there. Or you've got producers to the grasshopper to the mouse to the snake. There's three food chains, right?
Yeah.
Then you've got the producers to the mouse to the fox. There's another chain, right?
Yeah.
Producers to the mouse to the snake. There's another chain.
Yeah.
Producers to the rabbit to the fox. There's another chain. So there's lots of chains within a food web. So a food web is just a bunch of chains that connect. A bunch of food chains that connect. Yeah.
So, like everything that we eat comes from the sun, right? If we eat like a cow or meat from a cow or something, that comes from a plant, and the plant comes from the sun.
The plant doesn't come from the sun, but the light energy that is converted into a chemical energy has been from the sun, yes.
So typically we're eating the sun.
Not directly, but indirectly, yes. We are using the energy. We're not eating the sun. We're using the energy that the light from the sun is transformed into food.
Okay.
All right, in a food web or food chain, the arrows show you the direction that the energy flows. Okay? So the energy starts out in the producers. That energy flows to whatever eats that producer. And then that energy from that consumer flows to whatever eats that, right? Energy flow. So the arrows just show you the flow of the energy. And again, webs are created from lots of food chains, right?
Yeah.
And in each of these food webs, it'll contain lots of different producers and lots of different consumers. And we'll talk about what producers and consumers are here in just a second. All right, we've got the energy pyramid. So there's the food chain, food web that's made up of lots of different food chains, and then there's what's called an energy pyramid. And the whole point of an energy pyramid is to kind of visually represent, or the way you see, the energy flow. Okay? So an energy pyramid, it's sometimes called different things, like a trophic pyramid or an ecological pyramid. But an energy pyramid, don't get it confused with a food pyramid. That's different. The food pyramid came out in the 1970s to tell humans that they need so much grain and so much fruits and so many vegetables that you need to eat, right? Yeah. An energy pyramid is different. An energy pyramid is basically a food chain, right? It's basically just a food chain, and it shows you the amount of energy that each level gets. If you know this right here, that in each level only 10% is passed on to the next level, then you're good on an energy pyramid, okay? An energy pyramid shows how the amount of useful energy that enters each level, chemical energy, decreases as is used by the organism in that level. Only about 10% of the energy is passed to the next level. So that means, basically, producers have all the energy, right?
Yes.
Because they're getting it directly from the sun and converting that light energy into a chemical energy. We learned that last week.
Yes.
That energy that is produced here, not really produced, converted, gets eaten by the primary consumer. Primary means the first. Primary first, right?
Yeah.
Consumer. What do you think a consumer is?
Something that eats other things.
Okay. He says something that eats other things. What else might it be? Consumer. What does the word consume mean?
To eat.
To eat, right? So primary consumer, something, the first one that consumes or eats the producers. Now, from the producers, only about 10% of the energy that producer has produced. What does produced mean?
To give, or like make.
To make, right? So the only producers make chemical energy / convert light energy to chemical energy.
Yeah.
So the primary consumers only get about 10% of the original. Okay? Same thing when you go to the secondary. When those primary consumers get eaten, only about 10% of what they have eaten gets passed on. Why only about 10%? Because some of the energy is used, some of the energy is stored, right? That sort of stuff. Again, only 10% gets moved each level you go up. So what that means is there's going to be a whole lot of producers. There's going to be fewer primary consumers. There's going to be even fewer secondary consumers. And as you go up, there should be less and less, right? Population-wise, right? All right, so if you look over here at the numbers off to the side of that pyramid, you'll see at the bottom it says 1,000. What that means is energy per calorie or whatever, right? So these producers have 1,000 energy. Let's just say 1,000 energy, right?
Lot.
So what's 10% of 1,000?
100.
100. So these primary consumers only get 10% of the original, right? What's 10% of 100?
10.
10. So these secondary consumers only got 10% of what was here. Same thing for the third level. What's 10% of 10?
1.
1, and that's how it says 1. Okay. Just know each level you only pass on about 10%
Yeah.
each time. Last part is just some definitions, so you know what they are. Producers bring energy from non-living. What's the non-living source?
Planet Earth,
The
sunlight.
sun, right? The light from the sun
Yeah.
into our world, right? So producers produce a chemical energy. They bring that light energy and convert it to chemical energy.
Yeah.
Primary consumers eat the producers, which makes them herbivores. Anything that just eats plants is a herbivore. Secondary consumers eat primary consumers. If it eats another animal or it eats a bug or whatever, secondary consumer. Tertiary consumers eat secondary consumers. Okay?
Yeah.
And those are some definitions. Hopefully you understand a little bit about what a food chain is, how it connects with a food web. Get that? Just the food web is connected. And then what an energy pyramid is and what it kind of shows you